Hi everyone, this is Alan Stout, Executive Director of Visit Luzerne County, and welcome to Next Stop, the Visit Luzerne County podcast. Here, each month, we'll be chatting with people from throughout northeastern Pennsylvania that help make our region a fun place to visit. We record the podcast right here at our office, inside the historic train station in Wilkes-Barre, which served as the next stop for countless trains for more than 100 years. Our next stop with our podcast will always be with someone we think you'll find interesting. Enjoy. Hello everybody, Alan Stout, Executive Director of Visit Luzerne County, here with the latest edition of Visit Luzerne County, Next Stop, the Visit Luzerne County podcast. And our guest today on the podcast is somebody who probably spent more time in this building than anybody that I know. Concert promoter, nightclub owner, entrepreneur, Thom Greco. Thom, welcome to Next Stop, the Visit Luzerne County podcast.
Thank you. It's warm memories here at the train station.
I bet there are. I mean, well, we're going to talk about it later, but just so some folks that might not know, our office is in the historic train station in Wilkes-Barre, the former Central Rail of New Jersey, train station for 104 years. But from 1980 to maybe 2005 or so, a very popular bar, nightclub, and restaurant.
Right.
And you took that over around 88, 89?
88.
88.
Yeah.
And so you ran this bar for 15, 16 years?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. And so we're gonna talk about that.
That's great.
I mean,
Sure.
To see you here, I know a lot of people are just gonna get a kick out of that.
Yeah,
in
sure.
itself, seeing Thom here at we'll call it Market Street Square for now.
It's fine.
But that's not why you're here. You're here to talk about some other stuff that you have going on very, very currently.
Sure.
Including Polkafest,
Yes.
which happens at Mohegan Casino, Mohegan, Pennsylvania, on April 11th. And you are one of the promoters behind this event. I see you have a few partners with you on it and a big sponsor, Mrs. T's,
Yes.
appropriately enough. Talk to us a little bit about Polkafest, Thom. I know that this has been going on for quite a few years now, and was at Genetti's for a while, and it's a casino the last few years. Was this your incarnation? Was this your idea to start this event, or did you come up with a group of people?
Well, we tried to create a polka hall of fame back when we had the train station, Market Street Square. And we got a bunch of, from the Bavarian, Jolly Joe the Bavarian and Jimmy Sturr and a lot of folks. We wanted to, when I say we, it might have been me, but I always say we. Mm-hmm. But we wanted to remember the history, reclaim it, polka music in this area, because it's a big thing. And we found out that out in Chicago they have a Hall of Fame, but we didn't want to conflict with them. So later on down the road, we were talking, as we get together normally, Joe Nardone Sr., Jimmy Delacroce, and I would sit around at dinner and we'd talk, and we really thought, because of the background, I'm half Slovak. My mother's 100% Slovak, and my Aunt Val Genetti. And we were brought up with polka in our background. Joe's wife is 100% Slovak. And Jimmy has Slovak lineage. And so we thought, all right, we have a nonprofit, Wilkes-Barre Metro, and we decided that Wilkes-Barre Metro would help present it. But we lose money every year. So the three producers kick in to carry and underwrite wherever sponsorship or ticket sales fall short. Because it's not cheap bringing in an 18 Grammy winner, not nomination, winner, Jimmy Sturr, with the full orchestra and his big, huge tour bus with Polka King on the back, and all the other bands that we put on. So it's been something that we've been doing, I think, since the year 2023. We started at Genetti's Ballroom because I remember as a kid, I started off 16 years old as a banquet waiter, and every wedding band was a polka band.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was amazing. And some of our bartenders would play in a polka band if they weren't playing that night, or they'd be there as a band player. The big guys, Krieger Brothers, Leon Schuster and his bands, and a lot of guys that really play in the area. So we decided that it might be a good thing to bring it back. And none better than Jimmy Sturr and his orchestra. And so we reached out to Jimmy. We put together a deal. So it's a regular thing for him every year. They come down from Florida, New York, where he's out of, and we come down and we will add different bands onto that bill and try to showcase the top polka bands and let the people come out. And it's an amazing event. My mother still goes at age 95 and 96 and now 97.
Wow.
She's not dancing, but she enjoys it. So my Aunt Val would go and enjoy it. Or at least enjoy the music. I don't know if she ever made it to one of the shows. But and of course, Joe and his wife are out there dancing. She loves it. She knows all the words to the songs. But it's not just our own selfish reasons why that we want to keep polka music alive, but it's the cradle. This area is really rich with polka music, with the Stanky Brothers and the Apple Peaches Pumpkin Pie, and there's just so many, the Chicken Dance and songs that they've created in this area or at least replayed them to great record sales. And so we thought it'd be a good thing to do. But the first year we ran it was Janetti's Ballroom, and then we did a Christmas show that year. And then we went back and we moved it up to Mohegan Ballroom. And we've done that. Well, this will be the second year we're at Mohegan Ballroom. But I could tell you that when I did the floor setup, I was treating it like it was a regular show. And so I had tables and chairs in front of the stage and on the sides, and I had a dance floor because I figured they'd want to dance. And Jimmy comes in, he says, "What are you doing? You can't have tables and chairs in front of the stage." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean? People are going to want to sit down and watch the show." He said, "It's not the show, it's the dancing." He says, "Move all those tables and chairs out of there. They have to have access right to the stage." And sure enough, I moved everything aside, made it, seating towards the sides. And the minute the band started,
There you go.
wow, everybody jumped out there. And I never saw so many, and I'm a tapper here, I guess, but I could not believe how many people jumped up to dance, and they have all different styles of polka dancing. And I'm talking people with carts to walk to try to dance, to the young kids, arm in arm, dancing, strutting. There's different styles. And I was blown away when I looked at the generations celebrating and bringing memories back through this music. And it was such an enlightening and a rewarding experience to see family members, generations at tables and out there dancing together, reliving with the halushki and the pierogis and all the good stuff that comes along with Polish and German and Slovak and, all the folks that go out there. So we've been doing it for a while, and we underwrite it and keep it alive.
That's so cool, because I think so many of us here that grew up in the area, myself included, I would put myself in this category. We know the polka music from maybe the church bazaar. And, maybe they'll have the rock band on Friday night and the polka band on Saturday night.
Right.
But it's kind of in the background. It's not, you're going there for food. So to have the music be front and center,
right?
This is
all about.
This is what it's all about. And so to see that kind of reaction to it, where someone like Jimmy Sturr comes in and says, "No, they'll be dancing,"
and so right,
and they'll be dancing right away.
Yeah,
that's a great story. And
yeah.
so this will be the fourth year, and you're up at the casino. And one of the questions I was going to ask you was, what was your inspiration for it? But maybe you already kind of answered that. That was something that, with your own heritage and the other three gentlemen, Joe and Jim, right?
Like most people from this area, there's a connection because there's a large population of Slavic and Polish folks. Just like there's Italian and there's Irish.
Yeah.
We embrace St. Patrick's Day in a big way. Of course, it's an Italian saint, but we really embrace Irish St. Patrick's Day.
Italian Americans love to remind the Irish of
that. But we love the Italian, and most people know me as being an Italian, and I celebrate my Italian roots, and I celebrate my Slovak roots. And so I try to give back. That really is a big part of it. So that's what the people around here, I can't tell you how many people, all different ages, come around and thank us
for the opportunity to come out and bring back memories and create new ones.
And you mentioned earlier Stanky Brothers, and John passed away not that long ago. But his brother is on the bill this year performing.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, and there's going to be a tribute to John at this year's event. Is
Yes.
his brother involved in the tribute, or is that coming from all the artists?
They're all going to share a tribute, but Joe Stanky, it's Joe Stanky and the Cadets, and it was John Stanky and the Coal Miners, and of course John Stanky and the Coal Miners played for us at one of the Polkafests, along with Dottie and his two daughters. Great band, and Joe Stanky played as well, and so Joe has agreed to do a tribute to his brother, and that's what he wants to do. So he'll be doing it, as well as the Polka Family Band and Jimmy Sturr. So everybody's going to participate, but I think John's probably going to play the biggest part of it. And, we had him there as a performer. He's a great guy. And obviously he was in the Hall of Fame.
Well, that's what I was going to mention. And it's, maybe talk about good karma but when they were both announced about a year ago, right around a year ago now, that they were going to be into the Hall of Fame, I was on the committee for the event, and I was told that they won't perform together.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know the history.
Yeah.
And so I guess they had a long falling out. And so, okay, they're not going to perform together. So we're planning that event with that in mind. And then I think it may have been right up a day or two before the show, I'm hearing, no, they're going to play together. And I was like, oh, okay. And so they did.
Yeah.
And I was told it was the first time in 40 years.
Yeah.
And he passed away not long after
Yeah.
that. And so I'm sure that Joe has got to be incredibly grateful for that.
He is. Both of them, well, they both have their own bands. They did their own thing successfully. And they're very cordial and friendly. I mean, it's just, I think they wanted to do their own thing.
Okay.
And, we had them both playing on the same stage, for one of the Polka Fests.
But not together.
Not performing in the same band.
Right.
No.
Right.
And when I heard, I could certainly understand that they were both going to play together like they did at the Hall of Fame. But I could tell you that they're great artists. They do a great job. They're local heroes. People know them on a national level. They toured nationally when they were able to get around, and they were healthy enough just to be able to go around and tour. But John has no problem at all. John had no problem at all with Joe, and Joe likewise. But now Joe's going to be performing John's songs and doing a tribute. So it'll be a big night. Now we did a big tribute for the Krieger brothers,
Mm-hmm.
which was big. And the Krieger, some gal who was on the album, came out, and we had her up on stage, and she was there with her daughter. So there's deep roots in this area.
Yeah.
The polka heritage. And we're just happy to be able to put it on. Jimmy Sturr comes back every year. This year, he's doing a special tribute because this is our first event of our America 250, which is local. You have your national and state.
Right.
We're locally doing America 250. So the first event is the Polkafest. And we'll have a series of events, which is going to be announced at a press conference sometime in April. And Jimmy's going to have a big flag in the back, and he has a whole set he's going to be playing, a patriotic music and a nod to the history of America and the 250 years. So they're very much part of our fabric and very much part of the history of this area. And so they want to participate, and we said, fine. And that'd be a biggie. So yeah, it's going to be a good event. Jimmy will be up there. He plays polka music and other music. And the other guys are pretty much hardcore, but an amazing band is the Polka Family Band with Hank, the lead singer. They were on fire, and they did a great job. The first time we had them was last year, and they're coming back again this year. And I think they were nominated for Grammys. They still tour nationally. as Jimmy does. And he's just, they're amazing talent. I see them as one of the stronger up and coming polka bands in the nation. And believe it or not, they're down out of the Bloomsburg area, Schuylkill County area, some of the band members, and they tour. They do a great job.
Terrific. I know I heard the radio spot. I think it was yesterday. I was driving in the car and I heard it, and Jimmy's on the spot. Right? You got Jimmy to record it for you.
Yeah, sure.
And when I heard that, I was like, oh, he's into this.
Oh, he loves it.
You know?
He loves it. I mean, he has a regular, and I try to join up with him in Florida. He headlines the Strawberry Festival which is outside of Orlando, down in Florida. He has a cruise, a faithful following that goes on a big polka cruise.
Wow.
He does that in January. And then he just goes around touring. Now, you got to know there's not this year, but 2 years ago, one of the esteemed artists, and I think you've seen this, I think it's Chris, I can't think of his last name. He's the lead guitar player at Trans-Siberian Orchestra. So when you go to Trans-Siberian Orchestra, he's the lead guy who speaks and plays guitar. He used to be in the band Slaughter.
Oh, okay.
And so he plays in Slaughter. He plays Trans-Siberian Orchestra. But on his off time, he plays in Jimmy's band. So here you see the guy up there playing guitar with the long hair, and he's amazing. He loves the music. And him, he is very close to Jimmy Sturr. And so, some of the best artists appreciate polka music.
Yeah, that's a musician's musician there. If he's Slaughter in a polka band.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Tickets. I heard on the radio, Gallery Sound, right? Is that
well? The number one thing, we've had a online ticket service.
Okay.
It's called ticketsalesnow.com. Just as it spells out, it's ticketsalesnow.com.
Ticketsalesnow.com.
It's an online ticketing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's like a $1 or $2 ticket charge, which is just for the credit cards. We don't add on like Ticketmaster. And we've had it out there for some of our shows at the clubs because you got to sort of stay away from Ticketmaster because sometimes their fees are more than what we charge as a cover.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to do that to our customer base. And so we maintain this site. But once we started partnering with Mohegan Sun, we're not using the Ticketmaster, so we have our own ticketing. So unlike other shows that go on there, because we're outside promoter coming in, we use our own ticketing. So it's ticketsalesnow.com. So if you want to buy online, whether it's general admission or whether it's reserved tables, which means you'll get a seat. It's either open seating, which is general admission, which means there's nothing saved for you, but there'll be seating, or reserve, which you can pick your table and your seat. And when you get there, that's what where you'll be able to sit. And that, of course, is the reserved table seating. That can be bought online. You could also buy general admission online. Now, Joe Nardone Gallery Sounds is only general admission, and is cash only.
Okay.
And today everybody likes credit cards. So that's kind of the way it goes. So we kind of sell most of the tickets online.
We'll give that URL one more time so people can.
www.ticketsalesnow.com. Well, you go there. If you have any problems, there's a phone number there to call if you have a problem getting your credit card. But believe it or not, even with the older demographics we deal with, they've been buying the tickets easily online. They're very internet savvy.
Well, my dad is going to be 81 this year, and he's better on the computer than I am. So that doesn't really surprise me that you're not having a problem with that. That's a nice looking card.
Well, thank you.
Let's talk about some other stuff
besides
Polkafest. And I have when we decided a couple weeks ago that you were coming in, I told you, I said, look, this is going to be fun because obviously we want to talk about this major event that you're co-promoting. But another thing that you and I have talked about over the last couple of years when we bumped into each other out and about, and even down here when you were here a couple of times, is Mr. Peanut. I don't think I knew when I knew you back in the days when you owned the club, or maybe you weren't collecting at that time. But it was only maybe over the last 5 years or so that I became aware that you have maybe one of the best collections in the country.
Yes.
What do you got? And what is, I mean, obviously, I'm assuming your interest came because of the local tie that it was founded here in Wilkes-Barre, the company.
It's a great story of Italian immigrants, or any immigrant in this area that's made it good. A bunch of Italian immigrants, Peruzzi and Obisi, that came directly from Italy, came here and worked hard, and they achieved the American dream. It was founded in 1906 as Planters Peanuts, and it was a nut and chocolate company. And right here at this train station, Obisi came in, and he only spoke Italian. And he wanted to make his way up to Scranton, because that's where his relative had a fruit stand. And he made his way downtown trying to find somebody who knew how to speak Italian.
He's a little kid at this point, right?
Yeah, he's young.
Yeah.
20s, I think it was. I think it was 20s was the age. So he made his way down to Public Square. And there was an Italian family that spoke Italian. And he went in there and he ended up getting a job there. He ultimately married the daughter of that fruit stand owner. And in that area is where he established on East Market Street his first store, where he continued to fruit, but he added peanuts and a roaster in there. And so that's part of the history of him coming here, but he came here to this train station. So we like to tell the story. We like the Italian heritage. And Peruzzi was basically in Scranton and then in Hazleton. He worked at in retail when he was in Italy. And they both became 50-50 partners. And so Obisi did a great job here in Wilkes-Barre, and he soon realized that he had to tie up all the contracts for peanuts. Peanuts were grown in Virginia. And so he went down to Virginia, made a bunch of deals and contracts with the planters down there. And he decided, Peruzzi, you stay up in Wilkes-Barre and you handle the premiums, which were all the gifts you would get. You would redeem your wrappers, and you would get the banks and the pens and all the planter Mr. Peanut things that were there thereafter. And that went on until through the 60s. And so the other location is Suffolk, Virginia. And Suffolk, Virginia was the processing plant. So the peanuts were gotten from Virginia, surrounding states. They were all processed, and even till today, down in Suffolk, Virginia. And up here was the marketing and premium and the corporate headquarters. So Obisi set up a home, a beautiful mansion down there. He built a beautiful center for all of his employees. And they would go and enjoy pool. They'd swim in a pool, and they'd have games in a nice, well-built building. I was down there to check it all out.
I figured you were down.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Suffolk does a great job embracing the history. And down there we've had some great stories going down to the hospital. When his first wife died, and he named the hospital after her, the Obisi Memorial Hospital. And he built a hospital. And thereafter, with medicine becoming so big, there were other hospitals that were built on the same site. But they still have Obisi's memorial and his wife's, where they're buried in the center. And they still have a history there where you could go down and see all the history of him and what he accumulated over the years. That's Obisi. And so, although he died up here in Wilkes-Barre, Obisi, he was transported down to be buried with his wife in that hospital memorial. Thereafter, he married, Peruzzi married the sister of Obisi. And his sister was quite an operator. She had a lot to do with, she was a strong woman. And so, I mean, it's a great history. So when you hear the history, I remember in Hazleton on Nanny Goat Hill and Harrison Street, where my dad was born and raised, the Italian, back then there were little groups, much like they are today with different immigrants. And all the Italians were there, and they had their goats, and they lived their own lifestyle. They had their own gardens and their grapes and they made their own wine. And my grandfather had a pasta factory, and there's just a lot of history there, and they stuck together. So when I learned of the story of Planters Peanuts, I embraced it for that reason. And then I really felt that we should celebrate the history of Planters Peanut, one of the top 10 most recognizable icons and trademarks in the world, and that it comes from Wilkes-Barre. So I espoused and I established a great relationship going way back. In fact, that's why, not to infringe on the trademark, that's why
the bar was
called Peanuts.
I thought maybe that was the case.
And you would have peanuts, you'd open the shells and throw them on the ground. It goes that far back.
Okay.
And so I started collecting back then, but I didn't know anybody at Planters Peanuts to get permission to use a trademark, as I do today. But back then, I just did it as a tribute to Planters Peanuts.
Yeah, it wasn't. You weren't using the imagery or anything. Just
Right.
they don't own the word peanuts.
Right.
right.
And we had a guy there with a little tuxedo with no top hat, no cane, and it was just called Peanuts. And so, the bar with the vibe, as it was known. So we really wanted to play that up. So we had a history. And so we continued pushing that. And then Vince Tacitano, who was the head top officer at the local Nabisco, they had their offices for accounting down on South Main Street, where that building's located, where the original corporate headquarters were. There was a big building attached to that, about 20,000 square feet, where Mr. Peanut was painted on the walls, on the brick walls. And his offices were up in Hanover Township. And so there have been multiple purchases of Planters Peanuts over the years. So that's where, I continued buying stuff. But Vince Tacitano decided when there was going to be a transfer of ownership that he took down all the statues, the cast iron Mr. Peanuts.
Yeah, you have one of those, right?
Right. It was given to me as a gift from Planters Peanuts, with Vince Tacitano was a big part of it. And I met him up at the Woodlands. And when I was partners there from 82 to 92. And so it goes back to that time. And that's one of the gifts. I know they gave one to the Chamber of Commerce. I got one. There was a gentleman in charge of human resources, Al. I can't think of his last name. He got one. But then all the other corporate officers got these Mr. Peanut statues. So that's one of the many things that I have. And you're asking about, you could collect a lot of tchotchke, let's say, which are the premium redemption things. We've got a lot of that. And, people like to have the original boxes. They were sent in, so you get the original boxes. But the very valuable things that I have are, for instance, I have probably about 4 or 5 original Planters Peanuts roasters. And one of them is very valuable because there was only a limited number of the riders where there's a Mr. Peanut. So as the roasted peanuts would turn, it'd be a gear where this Mr. Peanut will be riding it. And there was one with a rider on Public Square. I bought mine in Alabama, but I do know that it's one of the originals, obviously. There was one in Atlantic City. There was one in Wilkes-Barre. Of course, I got one down in Alabama. I'm not sure whether it was there or it was just the auction. But I've got roasters. I did a barn find. There's a gentleman by the name of Jack Smith who has a nice farm out in the back mountain, Dallas. And Jack Smith is married to his wife's family, which would be the wife's father, had a Mr. Peanut shop in New Jersey because they were franchised out. And so he had a whole barn.
Oh, yeah.
Full of...
I remember you telling me once about the barn. So you bought it, right?
Yeah, I bought everything he had.
Yeah.
And, anything to do with Planters Peanuts. And, of course, he had a roaster. So I bought the roaster and I bought a bunch of other stuff. Another very valuable piece that we got is in the Smithsonian Institute.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah. It was front page New York Post. And it was a replica of the renowned, the big neon Broadway Times Square sign of Mr. Peanut.
Yeah.
Excuse me, of Planters Peanuts. And so that went up for auction at one of the big auction houses down out of Philadelphia, and I bought that.
I remember when I was talking to you about this a couple of years ago. There used to be a really cool little candy shop in the Gateway Shopping Center in the 80s. For those who are familiar with the Gateway Shopping Center in Edwardsville, it was right where like Subway is right now, right on the corner.
Right.
And I think the Herman family may have owned it. And they had this giant Mr. Peanut thing in there. And I remember I was in college, age, high school age, and I would marvel at this. It was very large. And I remember describing it to you once, and you said, "Yeah, I have one of those." What was that? Do you remember what it?
I have so many different things.
This thing was really, almost life size, but it was solid. It wasn't.
We have the different scales. We have the, of course, the Mr. Peanut outfits, different outfits. They did different promotions.
Changed it a little bit, right?
Yeah, they changed over the time. They had for different themes.
Let's talk about you, Thom Greco, the entertainment promoter.
Sure.
Bud Light Amphitheater at Harvey's Lake, great concerts. I saw everybody out there from Ringo Starr to Hall & Oates to Chicago to Joe Walsh to Crosby, Stills and Nash, Alice Cooper. I covered all those shows when I was covering entertainment for the newspaper. You mentioned before when we were talking, before we were recording, doing Aerosmith at Lackawanna County Stadium. And they didn't do a lot of concerts there. That was one of the few I think it was ever held.
It's the only
there.
one.
Yeah. Obviously doing shows at Genetti's and the casino, and then right here in this building, a lot of pretty big names even came through the Bebop Cafe.
Sure.
And played out. Saw Paul Stanley here from Kiss. That was a big one.
Yeah.
When you sit in this building that you ran for almost 20 years, what are some of your favorite memories?
Pauly Shore was a nutcase from MTV. Paul Stanley was a great one. Chris Christopherson came through. I loved the Playboy Bunnies. When I first bought the place, or first we leased it, then we bought it. We bought it in 95. We leased it in 88. But this was the last Playboy Club. It was a Playboy Steakhouse.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I think I was still under 21.
Yeah.
We've had people come in and talk about that.
Yeah.
We've had people come in here and say, I met my husband right there. I met my wife right there. And that's neat.
Listen, we're all about creating memories for people. Memories will last a lifetime, and they find their mates for life. My brother Richard married a girl he met at the Vox Box. And I could tell you, wherever I go, I could tell how old somebody is based on, the best years of my life were at the Vox Box, or the best years of my life were at the factory, or at Market Street Square, or the Bebop Cafe. And today it's the Mines. So they'll all come to you and talk about it. So a lot of good memories that came through here, and we made an indelible print on a lot of people's lives. And so it's a big thing. So good memories are, the people at the bar, like Greg Fellerman and Eddie Ciambelli.
Yeah.
And
they put themselves through law school bartending here, and now they've got one of the biggest firms on the East Coast, I guess.
Jen Williams, a lot of people that we remember from here that put their life and heart into it, and they were great DJs and bands and the band Live, or there's a lot of bands here that we gave opportunities to. A lot of the people in the Hall of Fame. I mean, they would have never had a life if it weren't for us putting them on and having them open, for the acts. I had a big country artist, I forget who it was, and we had Musto and Abilene open. That was their biggest thing out at Harvey's Lake. And here, a lot of these bands we did regular, the Great Rock Scare.
Yeah.
All these bands.
Tribes, Dead Letters.
They didn't have a stage to play.
Yeah.
We gave it to them.
Strawberry Jam.
Right. And so there are a lot of great memories when you put them on. We make national acclaim. Miss Hawaiian Tropic. This was a final location. For some women, that was huge because whoever was picked here went directly to Hawaii. And it was a springboard for people that are out in California, that are out there right now as actresses and models. So it's stuff that we were able to elevate them and take them to a higher level. So there's a lot of good memories that came through here. obviously the crowds. I mean, there's nothing better than when you walk in and you've seen,
Yeah.
a busy bar and a busy dance club and all the fun and the smiles you bring to people's faces. They're my best memories, the successes that we've had through the very various iterations, from the Playboy Club, the Market Street Square, and the Bebop Cafe, and Club Miami, and Peanut Saloon, and going down to Banana Joe's. There were so many different things that went along the way that were very successful. But they're the memories that I've had. You were talking earlier about having an office. My office is on the second floor here, and the hours you put in. Back then, we didn't have cell phones. I was a kid that owned clubs. I started when I was 17, but I remember having to sit upstairs in that office. You start working at 8 o'clock in the morning, but in LA is where all the big agents were. So while we were booking shows, we'd have to work 3 hours later. 5 o'clock their time is 8 o'clock at night here. And then you'd have to rest up and take a shower and come back to run the club.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of hours.
Long days.
That you sacrifice. A lot of memories.
The artists that you brought in at the lake and at some of these other venues, sometimes the promoter gets some interaction with them and sometimes they don't. We know it depends on the artist. Sometimes it's a business deal and sometimes some are more cordial than others. What was the nicest experience you ever had with an A-list star? And the worst? 2 questions.
Oh,
Because you're not going to work with that one ever again anyway, so you could tell the story.
the best? Oh gosh, there's so many good. John Denver was not good.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. See, he seems like the sweetest man.
Not. Just the opposite. Arrogant, tough guy.
How about that?
Dolly Parton was nice. Johnny Cash was nice. Crosby, Stills, and Nash. We're doing a tribute to Harvey's Lake and part of the 150 this summer. Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Bad Company. 2 separate events. And I'm trying to think.
Was David Crosby nice? Because he was a cranky guy. Or was it
They
Nash?
were
I
nice.
could see Nash being
They were,
nice.
let me tell you, they were talented.
Stills. Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, they were talented. But I'm trying to think of the nicest. Hank Williams Jr. was tough. Listen, I loved Stone Temple Pilots was good, but Bush and I can't think of the lead singer's name now.
Gavin Rossdale.
You got it.
Yeah.
So nicest guy. Natalie Merchant, nicest girl. She went out, jumped in the water. She's on stage. I can't believe I could go skiing, jump in the water, stand on stage in front of all of you, and get paid for this.
Yeah.
She was great. But Gavin Bush on the Golden Biscuit Hour, when they asked him, "What's your favorite place in America?" He said, "There's this little amphitheater next to a lake," with his British accent.
Mm-hmm.
Harvey's Lake. He said, "We love that." And he went on to talk about the beauty of the lake and being able to perform. But I remember that particular show because back then it was moshing. And so the lake is like a circle. You go around the lake. And we're backstage where the Tijuana liquor stand was, and we would have the Coors Light tennis courts, sand courts, and that's kind of the back of the stage. And they're moshing. And in the middle of summer, these kids some of them are passing out. Some of them are, from the heat exhaustion and the moshing pushing them. So we'd have to take them out. We had probably about 3 or 4 people that we had to just give them water and take care of them. And I see the cops down by the fence along Lakeside Drive. And I go down there and I said, "What's going on?" He says, "We've called in the state police and all the police for help because you got a riot going on here." I said, "A riot?" He said, "There's a riot in there." And he says, "We got Packard, which is a hospital. They're coming down with the medevac." I said, "It's not a riot. This is moshing." And here at this moment, I see the circle. All these cars with flashing lights coming around the lake in unison, like they're splitting their way coming around. And I said, "Look, come on inside. These are kids having fun. This is not a riot." And so I had to bring him in, and they looked around, and they're on the radio. Cancel that.
Oh, wow.
So talk about a tough experience.
That is a funny story, Tom.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about one more thing. We've been talking for a long time. But you got another endeavor that you're going to be unveiling this summer that you talked a little bit about. And it's going to pay a little bit of a homage to Peanuts and Market Street Square. What your next adventure?
On North Main Street, where we have the mines, and we opened at the end of the summer an outdoor wood-fired pizza oven, tent, margarita bar, but it's called Margarita Urban Beer Garden and Cocktail Garden. And out there's music, there's frozen margaritas, obviously, but we've got Chef Peter Adams, and we introduced wood-fired pizza at the Martini Restaurante and Bar back in 1997. Wolfgang Puck and I became friends before he became huge, and he got me the oven, a Woodstone oven. So we made, and we won, Times Leader as a matter of fact, we won the #1 pizza in Wyoming Valley. It was the wood-fired pizza called Margarita. And so we recreated that. We bought a pizza oven from Naples, Italy, and it's outside, and it's great pizza. And we do a good job with that. So that's the outdoor component. What we want to do is for an older demographic, strictly over 21, but even an older demographic, much like our Martini crowd we used to have. We are occupying part of the mines, which is the first floor, which is above it, which is where the Vox Box, the TV show used to be, and the factory. And in that area, we've put in the old 1890s bar called the Pink Bar, which was on the second floor here. And we expanded upon that bar. We took all the old antiques, like the Jesse James break front, where when he got shot and killed, the bullet went through into the glass of the break front. We have that break front. We have a bunch of the old antiques from the train station that people will recognize. And we're bringing all that into that space.
That's cool.
And it'll all be people coming back from memories of the train station, Market Street Square, the factory, the Vox Box. We're trying to play on that. And yet have a regard for the kids that are over 21. They want to go into a good place. We have a huge cigar lounge that people are going to be able to go to, which we don't have in this area. And so we have a cigar lounge, and we have the speakeasy, we're calling it. It's called Nellie's Speakeasy. And that should be opening in June. We're shooting for it. We've got to work with the city. You got to get all your approvals and everything done. But that's kind of where we're shooting for right now. Margarita should open up in May, and then Nellie should be sometime in June. And then we should have a fun summer.
That sounds like a neat endeavor, and I look forward to seeing some of that old memorabilia. Where we're sitting right now is where the bar was.
You were right here.
Yeah, I mean, and there was working in here every day and spending a lot of time here in the 90s and 2000s. I think about it sometimes. Saw some great shows here, and
it was the best times. People. Look, it's all about memories.
Yeah,
the memories you have of your Keystone Award article.
Well,
it's just great stuff that you have.
That started here.
Yeah,
that was a news tip that I'll tell that story some other time on maybe one of my own podcasts. But I got some news tips here. I saw some great bands. I saw the Badleys play a show out on the patio once. It was one of the best shows I've ever seen them
great.
Play.
Yeah.
And so this building has a lot of history to it, and it's been fun. And Tom, by the way, when he mentions Vox Box and things like that, in addition to being involved with restaurants and concert promotion and the Polkafest and real estate, he also has always been one of the leaders for under 21 entertainment. And so the Vox Box was his first, his factory was his second, and the Mines is now
right.
your
Well, then
third.
we shifted to Market Street Square.
Because I was here on
Thursday
certain nights of the week, right?
College. But then you're right. We had the factory going. Then we converted, and then we came in here and did the. So we continue right through to the Mines today. We wanted to give the youth something to do.
Yeah.
Without the problem with alcohol, and that's what we continue to do. But
I
yeah,
told
we've
you
done.
before, my daughter, she's 19. She went to the mines
I love
for
that.
the first time. And
I
she
love
said-
that.
She texted me a picture this past Saturday.
That's great.
You know, I'm like, I'm familiar.
It's good fun, and you meet
So-
all your folks, all the folks, and it's just one of the things. Peanuts was great, and that's what Nelly Speakeasy will be like. We have the stage set up for the same duos. We'll get Jay and Dave back hopefully, and maybe the Keating brothers. We'll talk to them. Strawberry Jam. Remember all the fun stuff. But Peanuts Neon. If anybody remembers Market Street Square, they would walk in and there was this beautiful Peanuts Neon. We restored that. We got the original Marconi who did the neon for us originally, got it, restored it all for us, and we have it hanging in there in a tribute.
That's something to look forward to this summer.
Yeah.
Thom, thanks for hanging out with us. Again, Polkafest coming up on April 11th. Jimmy Sturr, the headliner, a lot of great other artists on the bill. And that is at Mohegan, Pennsylvania in the Keystone Ballroom.
Yes.
And this is the 2, 3, 4. This will be the 4th year you're
Yeah.
doing it. We wish you all the best, and we hope everybody
Thank you.
move those tables out, like Jimmy said. And,
Yeah, we
and
do it.
let people dance.
Appreciate it. Hope we see you all there. And it's it's 500 people. We sell out the place. So it's a tribute to folks. And if not, there's other things coming up. So
Thanks for hanging out
lots
with
of
us,
fun.
Thom. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.